Over in the pages of DC Comics, it's been absolutely thrilling to see the character of Power Girl manifest some new powers over in the pages of Lazarus Planet. We really got to see Power Girl team up with Omen in the pages of comic books like Action Comics in order to solve some psychic mysteries over in the DC universe. Plus, in the Power Girl special, I think some of these elements came full circle, and we really got to see Paige come into her own as she battled the nefarious Johnny Sorrow. My name is Ariko Braddock, and today, let's go ahead and explore how the relationship between Power Girl and Omen is advancing in the pages of Power Girl issue 1. Before we get deeper into the video, I want to encourage you to support our channel by hitting the like button on this video and subscribing to the channel as well. Power Girl stars in her own epic ongoing series, Pretty, Punchy, and Powerful. After the events of Night Terrors, a long-dormant Kryptonian threat has returned to take down Superman and his family. Who could possibly stop it? Well, according to the Man of Steel, it's Power Girl. Witness a road trip against time as Paige reconnects with her roots to save the world from her deadly past. Power Girl special writer Leah Williams returns with artist Eduardo Pansica for an ongoing series of epic proportions. Power Girl issue 1 is written over from Leah Williams, featuring art from Eduardo Pansica. We have inks from Julio Ferreira, colors from Romulo Fajardo Jr., and letters over from Becca Carey. In addition, here the cover is coming in directly over from Gary Frank and Brad Anderson. I always love that sense of gravitas that Gary Frank is able to lend towards his figures, and I really find that Power Girl features no exception over on this cover to the debut issue here. And I very quickly want to extend a thank you to Adventures in Poor Taste for posting our preview so fast. And without further ado, let's go ahead and analyze some of the artwork over from Eduardo Pansica. I really found that artist Eduardo Pansica lent a much different visual interpretation of the Power Girl series as opposed to Marguerite Sauvage. However, some of the facial depictions over on the page here really showed me the full ability of what Pansica has to offer. In the opening of the issue, we see a few humans protesting aliens outside of Metropolis, and I really just found that the more rounded expression and all of the details in the faces really brought something different to this comic book as opposed to what we've seen from Marguerite Sauvage. Getting to see some of the elements of characters over at this benefits on this boat was really fascinating here, and I also think Pansica just does a great job drawing a more casual setting over for the character of Paige as she's sort of being introduced as Power Girl in this comic book series. It was really this page that we have up on the screen that convinced me over of Pansica's art within these series. I love the way that Omen is giving Power Girl a look in the celebration for her Paige identity during this benefit. It was an absolutely beautiful sequence that was designed incredibly well here. I also love how this page functions as a credits page for the comic book and also introduces the origin for Power Girl as well in terms of the DC universe. Getting the chance to catch up with Paige from some of the moments where we left off over in the Power Girl special was really thrilling. And I also found that Pansica was able to navigate Leah Williams' incredibly wordy script with a lot of adept nuance and facial expressions to keep things interesting, particularly like the way that Pansica is able to illustrate motion over on this sequence. On this page that we have up on the screen, we can see Power Girl downing a shot of lemon juice by accident, and we also catch a couple of just fantastic reaction shots over from Omen, who tried to warn her but was ultimately too late. And in the next sequence here, just showing these small visual interpretations of Paige's face reacting to the juice that she's just swallowed is really thrilling here. Have to hand it to the way that Williams wrote this sequence as well, as Paige is called up to the stage over on the benefit gala to give a little bit of an introduction sequence and to explain some of the premise behind this series. Also have to hand it to some of the colors over from Romulo Fajardo Jr. This is a sequence centered around the evening here, and the way there's a use of negative space and some darker surroundings over in the background is really beautiful. I also found that in select moments throughout this speech and through the gala, we can even see Omen over in the background of the issue. This kind of comes up again and again and again here. And the way that it's paced and the way that we return to her throughout this series is really, really fascinating. Another one of the aspects of this Power Girl series that I think really makes it stand apart from other DC comics is the way that Omen is able to psychically communicate over with Power Girl in her mind. The way these two sort of react to each other and have just ancillary pieces of dialogue is really thrilling throughout this comic book issue. It was also great to see Paige really establish herself as Dr. Stetler, this identity that she's taken on throughout the comic book. We really learned that over in the pages of the Power Girl special and between this debut that Paige was really working on establishing the alter ego of Dr. Stetler. I also found it really thrilling to see how Paige was really able to utilize this benefit to try and fund some of her own activities over in the pages of DC Comics. The way that this mysterious guest of Amalak really starts to stalk Paige across this comic book issue was really, really thrilling here. There's one sequence here that I'm really hoping is expanded on over in future issues of Power Girl, as Power Girl meets this character named Axel Gust, who ends up handing Paige a card and attempts to recruit her into a mysterious organization. The thing about Gus that really makes me interested in him as a character is the fact that he doesn't identify the mysterious organization he's working with. At one point, Paige tries to identify if Gus is working with the CIA, and Gus mentions that that was one of his former employers over at DC. So I am really, really fascinated to pick up on this plot thread and to see where some of these elements are headed next. I also really like some of the foreshadowing that Pansica sets up over with the character of Amalak, and when Amalak really makes his reveal over to the character of Paige, you can feel the full brunt of the dramatic tension here with some of the harrowing ways that Pansica really fleshes out the expressions over for the character of Amalak. Watching Power Girl go up against this really physically imposing threat was really, really interesting. And we also got a little bit of exploration between some of the ties over to Amalak and the rest of the Kryptonians. Really appreciate the fact that over in this comic book issue, there's a little bit more characterization for Amalak, and he's harboring a sort of personal grudge against some of the Kryptonians over in the comic book issue. There's an absolutely thrilling sequence that takes place really late over in the comic book series where Paige punches through an entire wall of stories and ends up descending in the fastest way she possibly can. The way that Pansica is able to illustrate the destruction over from Paige's Kryptonian abilities is really, really interesting here. And if I could levy just a little bit of criticism towards this Power Girl special, I really did find that a little bit later on in the issue when we got a mysterious guest character, the level of animosity that they're harboring towards Power Girl isn't fleshed out very well over in the comic book series. We're also set up with a really mysterious cliffhanger that has some bigger implications over for the Power Girl series, especially as it pertains to the character of Paige. I love that this cliffhanger is so personal and could open up some interesting new baggage in regards to her continuity here. So at the end of the day, I really found that this Power Girl debut issue was written with a great sense of reverence for the character, just like the Power Girl special was. Author Leah Williams really seemingly has a strong handle on the characterization of not only Power Girl but Omen as well. The way these two play off each other over in Paige's head is so fascinating and lends so much dimension over to these characters. I thought introducing the Kryptonian threat of Amalak, who is a little bit more physical, really introduced some fascinating plot threads over to this comic book, and I love the really strong and personal cliffhanger for Paige that should set up some interesting comics and scenarios in future Power Girl issues. The artwork over from Eduardo Pansica really tapped into the irreverent and really playful nature of the Power Girl special, while lending this really strong regal element to the comic book series as well. I want to know from you. Did you enjoy this Power Girl special as much as I did? What were some of your thoughts over on the character of Amalek and the mysterious cliffhanger in this comic book issue? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you so much for coming to check out our Power Girl #1 review, and we'll be back to see what's next for Power Girl and DC Comics in the near future. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon. Bye.